That's actually been like a really great thing in terms of connecting with other people in the city. So, you know, I was previously from New York, and regardless, you know, that New York City, like, even if you were a game developer there, someone could be working 8 blocks away from you, and it would feel like they'd be working in San Francisco and you'd be working in New York. And it just, everything was always a lot busier. Everything just always seemed a lot closed off. And over here, just a little bit more different. But that's my naive approach to working in Chicago. I'm not sure there's anything else that can be said about that. And from my perspective, I think regardless of where you make games, you're making games. So.
Yeah, to me, there's a reason why a lot of games sort of wrap up around E3, at least like a beta time for May. It's because the winter stinks so bad here, and everybody doesn't really mind crunching through the winter, so you don't want to go outside. But Chicago, really, with what Christian said, it's kind of like the neighborhood feel, and there's a lot of community here, even though it's been broken up a little bit in the past, especially now with a lot of students coming out and the ease of entry for so many studios that are popping up. If you want to make an iPhone game, it's $100. You know, $100 in some time. And there's just a lot of camaraderie here that you don't see out in the coast or in other studios outside of this area.
Yeah, I would agree. Just given the limited numbers of studios, and used to be kind of big publishers. EA was here for a while, Midway was here, and you know, obviously it's going to change, and a lot of that is kind of blown up. But there's still many studios, big and small. There's kind of this horse trading that happens where if you've been around long enough, you know people that work at this company and that company, and so it's a bigger social network and it's less competitive in that respect. And I'm a native guy from Chicago, born and raised here, and I just find the people here very genuine, and I think that that's a quality that is just part of the Midwest and part of Chicago.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know how to handle us. Like people not from Chicago, they're like, you know, this guy seems to be telling you the truth. they don't know what to do. Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Coco?
Justin Corcoran, the head of Foster Games, once said something, misquoting him, but he was like, I worked a lot of places, but Chicago, like the people all really close. So everybody, the studios break apart so often, everyone moves around so much, and there's kind of a small space, so everybody knows everybody else. So it's very warm in that sense, but I don't know what he's talking about. Everyone's a jerk to me, so.
I'm sorry to hear that. So, I mean, given that there's like so much camaraderie. What's that?
You won't be my idea.
Okay, well, we'll see. Well, given that there's usually so much camaraderie, what advice would you guys give for people interested in starting their own studios here?
It doesn't take much anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the market has changed so much from publisher-driven licensors and you know, big backing of big budget titles to you know, it's an indie's paradise now. I mean, you can start up shop in your garage. You can make iPhone games and self-publish them. You can make casual games and self-publish them. And if you don't want to self-publish, there's publishers out there that will help spread the word and advertise for you and take a smaller chunk than if it was a big console guy who was going to own your dreams, basically. So it's very entrepreneurial in that respect. And just Chicago is as much as anywhere else. And, you know, the thing that's been encouraging is over the past 5-6 years, there's been all these different colleges locally that have been focusing on game degrees, and so people are coming out. It used to be such a challenge in Chicago to recruit people, mainly because of the winter, and you get these, you know, you get all these big senior kind of console programmers, artists, designers, and they would never, no matter what you did in front of them, want to move out to Chicago just because of the weather. And you know, you don't necessarily have that problem because these games can be done remotely now. People can teleconference and program in different states, and the barrier to entry is just so much lower with the talent pool here and with the cost.
Definitely. One thing I could talk about is, well, how many of you guys are already making games? Anybody got like an indie studio? Alright. I didn't say that, Christian did. So there's a lot of you. How many of you are using Kickstarter? See this guy right up here? He's the only one. So I'm going to go into a little bit about Kickstarter because he pretty much gave me a lowdown. So that's Phil. He's one of our interns right now at Tapney. He's been just kick-ass the whole summer for us.
That's not why he's using Kickstarter. Yeah.
No, it isn't. Well, we are paying him. So. I even bought him lunch a couple times, but Kickstarter is just there's 8-bit funding. Was that it?
Yeah, 8-bit funding is just for indies.
Yeah. So Kickstarter's definitely got like a lot more push behind it. People know about it and they're comfortable with it. Amazon is part of the service, so you know your money is actually going somewhere. But it's just been a fantastic way for studios to actually stop bootstrapping so hard and get money, and you get to give away cool things of your product. Like his game's called Octodad 2 that he's working on, and they're trying to raise a pretty decent chunk of money, like enough for college tuition for a year at least. Some of these schools, but it's working. No, don't shrug. It is.
Yeah. We're 92% of the way there, and we still got like 12 days to go.
Yeah, so it reminds me of eBay. It's like you're bidding on something. You put a reserve price. Say you need $10,000 to make your game. So you put up like your vision, some artwork, get people to believe in your product. It's a lot like being in a band. You know, it's like come out and see my crappy band. We don't sound like we're in high school anymore. We're gonna make a real game, and at the end of it, we're gonna give you stuff. So once the goal of 10,000 is met, then the studio actually gets the money to go out and make this game. And if it isn't met, they don't get the money, and the project sort of can, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on how well you market your stuff, how well your game design actually fits the market that you're looking for. But it's fantastic. To build an iOS game or an Android game, figure out AAA studio takes maybe 3 months to do so. Like you guys can do something like that in 3 months, especially if you got a little bit of money behind it. So then you're not worried about getting 2 jobs with looking for and making high school games.
I mean, how many people have heard Ron Carmel's talk on how he got funding? Right? You've heard it. Anybody else? You should all go find it. Oh, okay, 2 people. So you should all go find it because obviously Ron and I forget the other guy's name. If anybody, well, whatever. They got about like 50% to 70% of their funding through pre-orders, like upfront of their game. So there's no reason why you just can't put up a website with concept art and say pre-order a game for $1. Like even if it's $1 that you're pre-ordering the game for, that doesn't matter. I mean, look at Minecraft, right? Same thing. Like pre-order now and play a really really crappy alpha, and then it'll be an awesome beta in a couple months.
You think so?
I mean,
I don't think it'll ever get out on alpha. It's like a Google product.
But I mean, like, there's so many different techniques, and like, here's the most interesting part, right? Like, Phil was the only person who raised his hand regarding Kickstarter. There's no reason why why everyone here can't be doing that, and everyone here can't be helping each other either. Like, you're all interested in making games. Don't just go about it doing it yourself, right? The whole goal is to make a game. It doesn't matter if you did it by yourself or you did it with 20 of the people here.
Yeah.
It's about
credits are easy. So I'm like, oh man, you beta tested the game for 15 minutes. You want to do it again? I'll put you in the credits.
special things.
Yeah, special things.
Yeah, so I mean, like, don't pigeonhole yourself into like, oh hey, like I have to take on this whole thing. Like there's a bunch of other people that are looking to make games that want to make games with you, I bet you. And maybe they're shy, or maybe you're shy, or maybe you're both shy and you'll never talk to each other, but everybody should overcome that fear and sort of just get together and make games.
Yeah, games they're really a social thing. You're gonna have to work with a team. A lot of guys, right when they get out of college or they're working on like their capstone project, they're like, I never expected anything like this. I'll talk to the students and I'm like, how much of your classroom actually prepared you for this experience? And they're like, maybe 2%, because they don't know how to deal with other people. It's really a social experience.
If I can cut in there, actually, that was something else I was curious about is how can studios get more involved with schools to help assure, that transition, so that way it's not just like they were 2% prepared. How can they be like 50% or 51% prepared?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the local schools will reach out to whatever industry is here, but it can go the other way too.
Yeah.
And they've sought advice on on software, curriculum, tools, different engines or middleware or skill sets. And the interesting thing is that has changed significantly just in the past few years. It depends on what market you want to go into. There's still certainly a console market, but it's on the decline, and there's a place for those kind of big games. But then there's this other market that's emerged in the past few years, and mobile and social, and that's kind of the green field that everybody's going after. And the talent set over here is not necessarily the same as it is over there. And for instance, if you're trying to hire a senior Facebook programmer, what is that? That's somebody that's been doing it for 3-4 years. I mean, that's not a 15-year veteran in the console world. So it's a very interesting and dynamic field, and the curriculum can't necessarily change and adapt that quickly.
Right.
But you can certainly get involved, and I've been involved as an advisor on a number of different boards and to kind of evaluate the curriculum and give insights into what would be useful for us if we were hiring coming out of school.
Now, do you guys all offer like internship programs at your studios to sort of help get hands-on experience, or?
We have done that.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one because if you put that out to the colleges, you get every single person coming at you. So
of course.
It's a little tricky, but yeah, we've done it.
Yeah, that seems to be like where the social aspect really gets strong. Like if you're willing to assert yourself, put yourself on the line to get out there in front of like our attention, we're gonna be like, hey, I remember you. You were wearing that crazy purple bedazzled shirt, with one of our games name on it. It's like I'm gonna call you up when it comes time for an internship, because I want somebody that's going to interact with my team and be a part. I want their voice to be heard, because that's going to build the best product possible. Not just sit back and do your code and leave. It's a love and passion.
I mean, here's another crazy idea, right? You don't necessarily just need to talk to any of the local studios just for a job. You can talk to them because you have games that you'd like some notes on. And that's probably one of the best ways to get noticed, because a game speaks a lot more for a person's character than a resume or an email. So with a game, we can tell what you've worked on, that you're dedicated, that you want to put the blood, sweat, and tears into it. With a resume, I can tell that you were born, you went to college, and what you say now.
Usually your grade point average is on this too if you're right out of college.
Yeah.
I was proud enough to put mine on.
Fair enough.
So when that happens, like if you're suggesting people send their games out to companies, who usually winds up checking it out? I mean, is it someone in HR, or is it the whole company, or?
I know for the most part, Ryan, our community manager back there, videotaping this. Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
He forwards me all the emails that we get to contact at toystudio.com.
How much does that average, like, per month, say?
Maybe every week. Maybe like what, Ryan? Maybe 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah, on average.
So maybe like 10. And from those 10, I believe 50 to 25% of those are local. So there's a lot of you that aren't sending me emails.
How about you other guys? Do people reach out to you in that way? Do you want them to?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I mean, like anything, there should be a filter somewhere.
Right.
But yeah, and if you've got a really cool demo or a really cool game or something for us to see, a reel, whatever it is, it'll find its way to the right person. Enough people will send that kind of stuff in that I'll be screening it, someone else will screen it before me, but if it gets to me, then clearly it's something good, or if it goes to our artists or our developers, clearly they've got something that is worth them checking out. And we don't just filter all this stuff to trash. We certainly look at it. And to echo your point, if you're not proud enough to put your GPA on there, that doesn't necessarily matter. If you've got a kick-ass demo, that doesn't matter. I mean, that'll speak to look at my passion and look what I'm good at, and
School doesn't matter.
You won't get over it. Let's say that.
Another great thing, and this is going to be awesome, because I can actually point to someone in the room, actually 2 people in the room, that, this is going to be like actual examples. Becoming friends with me on Facebook is a great way for me to know games are for example, Ryan right here, he's worked on 2 or 3 iterations of one game that I know that he has on Congregate, and it's actually coming along pretty nicely. I haven't commented or said anything to Ryan, and this is actually the first time he's probably heard that I played his game, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's been really cool for me to see like what he's been up to, and it's actually pretty interesting. And his game is actually coming along really well, and I'm actually having a ton of fun playing it, and I'm looking forward to like new levels and what he decides to do, and where I can see what he's thinking, like where I can see him finding the fun in his game and then iterating upon that, and that's awesome. And like I know next time we have an opening, I might email Ryan. Another great example is Andy back there, right? Andy's friends with me on Facebook, and he's been working on a couple of projects. He worked on a Unity thing. You worked on that bird game, right? Yeah. Yeah, no. It was actually a really neat concept where you were this one big bird and you had a bunch of other small birds follow.
No, that wasn't me.
That's Joey.
Was it? Okay, somebody
That
told
was-
me.
that
Somebody
was
told me
James.
it
He's
was
actually
you.
a lot better than I am.
Fair enough. But see, I'm already mixing people up, but I already know that somebody cool in Chicago did something cool with a bird. and Andy got all the credit for it.
Bird-related games.
I was talking to Rob, and Rob was like, and he made a really cool bird game.
Yeah,
I was like,
see?
I don't know.
See, it
Anyways.
gets confusing when everyone in Chicago
Yeah.
works on bird games.
But the moral of that story is that I knew about a bird game.